Hello, everyone. I have a special video for you. And this video is for executive women, or at least high achieving women who have experienced things in their marriage and they're doing a lot of things. They're nurturers. I know what that's like. So if you're the husband of an executive woman, listen up. But if you are an executive woman or a high achieving woman, listen up, because I want to share with you how every executive woman who wants to unlock the power of her authentic self and stop walking on eggshells and having to not live with regret, how to be real and how to show up in your most intimate relationships and be real and be true to yourself. So here's 3 myths that I would like to expose. I'm Judy Herman, and I've been a counselor for many years. I've written the book Beyond Messy Relationships. I've had my own experiences, but here's what I found, that there's 3 myths that seem to come to the surface with a lot of people. Myth number 1 is a lot of women say, I'm too emotional. They declare themselves they're too emotional. Well, how did they come to that conclusion? Likely they've been told that when they were little girls. Likely they've been told that by their spouses. But you see, the reality is that emotions are part of our humanity, okay? Emotions are temporary messengers to our souls. They have a message to give us, and we need to pay attention to them. Okay, so if we got our emotions over here and they're want our attention because there's something there that needs to be tuned into. And if we don't tune into them, then they become more. There's more anxiety, there's more depression, there's more irritability, whatever the case is. But we need to pay attention to them so we can let them know, find out what their messages are. But if we're hearing another message over here in which, you're being told you're too emotional, or you're to this, or you're to that, the reality is you're not to anything. You're not to anything. So let's listen to what this is part of our humanity, right? Our emotions are. So we need to listen to them and let them be temporary messengers, and don't soak up the illusion or the myth that you're too emotional, because you're not. This is the way God designed you to be, and it's beautiful. Many writers and artists and others would be accused of the same thing, but no, this is our giftedness, and we need to pay attention to them. Myth number 2, a lot of women will say, well, if I stop doing all the stuff that I'm doing for my spouse, if I just sit back, because I suggest, let's take a deep breath here, but they're fearful that their marriages are going to fall apart because they've been doing this for years. And if they let go of those things that don't belong to them, they're fearful that the spouse won't step up to the plate. But here's the reality. We need to stay in reality. I'm going to share this first because marital dances, I talk about marital dances in my book and in my counseling. These are relationship patterns. You co-create that pattern, yes. But there's some marital dances that do need to fall apart in order to replace them with a growth resilience dance. Okay. So yes, there's some things in the marriage that does need to fall apart. And yes, perhaps you taking a risk and showing up and aligning with the truth that you can only do for yourself. And doing for yourself is a full-time job, right? It is a full-time job along with managing the household and children, but pouring into you, investing in you is a full-time job. And you cannot do for others, especially spouse, okay? You have to do for your kids, may have to tie their shoes or whatever until they learn how to tie themselves. You may have to wash their clothes until they learn how to wash their clothes themselves. But I'm talking about adults. So if you got an adult son or daughter, if you got a spouse, you're doing for them. Sit back, because you cannot do for another human being, another adult, what only they can do for themselves. And you cannot do for you what only you can do for yourself. You can't think another's thoughts. You can't make another's decision. You can't imagine another's imagination. Okay. So let go of that and do you. Okay. And I've got some great examples. I may not have time to share them all because this is a short video, but myth number 3. So myth number 1 is like, I'm too emotional. Well, that's simply a myth, and it's simply not true. You're not too emotional. Number two, number two, if I stop doing for my spouse, my marriage will fall apart. You need to only do for what you can do for you and align with that reality. And the third is you ask yourself, is it me? Is it me? Am I the one that is the problem? Well, I'm telling you, it's not just you. Because when conflict happens and impulsive behaviors end up in this accusation and defensiveness dance, that is a common relationship dance, but it's not just you. Okay, it takes two, right? But it's likely many generations before you as well. So you've been groomed to be where you are in the mess that you're in, but it's not just you. So do not soak all that blame up at all, because it simply is not true. And we need to align with truth. Okay. Now I've got to share a story because I am a therapist and I just love hearing the stories of people's lives. And I even wrote my own story in my book, Beyond Messy Relationships. But I was really pleased when I found out that a person that I was working with, and they do their work in between the sessions, like that is like awesome, that they actually take and do and follow through with what we've talked about to make it so valuable and worthwhile. Well, the person's character was beginning to change, and this spouse was showing up a whole lot more empathic, and there was something different, okay? And his wife said, what's going on? I mean, this is different. And well, Miss Judy and I had been working on X as a meditation that I had this person doing. And so she wanted to know what it was and get on board with it. And that's the kind of effect that we want on our spouses, right? We don't want to keep complaining that they're not doing this or they're not doing that, but you want to do you and do you well. And you're a full-time job and you invest in yourself to rise above whatever conflict, seeing conflict as an opportunity for growth. Anyway, I could go on, but I'm not going to right now, but be aware of these three myths. Now, here's how every executive woman can move forward, okay? Number one, realize that myths, things that are not true, they lead to exhaustion and confusion. And we want to get out of that. We want to get into the truth. And number two, the human journey it includes struggle with purpose. It's not like it's for no good reason. There's a purpose through the struggle. It gives us insight. So we can get beyond it. We don't need to be defined by it, but we can get some insight and wisdom from it. And number three, you're worth investing in you in order to live that peaceful and purposeful and positive life without regret. Because I hear a lot, people don't want to live their lives and regret making big decisions. But the big decision is invest in you. So the big idea here is that you can unlock the power of your authentic self without having to deal with regret. And here's your next step. If this resonates with you, I'd love for you to go to my website. And I've got a remarkable coaching program. It's a 12-week coaching program that I'm working with folks one-on-one. And it's called Show Up and Be You. Stop walking on eggshells. And we're going to deal with some things that are very transformational. And this is something that is an accumulation of 40 years of what I've learned, not only in my personal life, but also as a relationship therapist. So I want to help you package this so that your transformation doesn't take 40 years. So I'd love to work with you, and it may be a great fit for you. And the only way that you can find out is to schedule a discovery call. And so email me, judy@judycounselor.com. You can go to my website. There's a relationship stress quiz. But if this resonates with you at a deep level and you're thinking about it, there's no obligation, no pressure at all. But we'll just, connect for about an hour if you'd like a discovery call, and that is no fee to that. But I want to help you know what the next right step is for you, and to invest in you and to be the real you, because you're so worth it. Okay, thanks so much for joining me, Judy Herman, author of Beyond Messy Relationships. Here's my book, and it's also available where books are sold. Okay, thanks so much. All right, bye-bye.